Hi everyone. Hope you're doing okay, staying safe and not getting sick. I wanted to share with you a bit about how you can navigate this alternative argument if you're still struggling. So, I have written a sample, and those of you who have had my class before will recognize this topic and this title. I've tweaked it slightly from the straight regular argument that we write in English 101 to fit the assignment. That said, you will notice that the outline that I gave you is not exactly the order to which I've written this, and that was a suggested outline, so you don't have to follow it exactly, but you do have to include everything in it so that you meet the requirements. Sometimes when you write, it doesn't fit neatly into those little chunks. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes you leave one out. As long as you meet the requirements of the assignment, it doesn't matter what order it goes in, and as long as it flows and makes sense organizationally. So I think you'll see that with this. So the topic here is abortion, which nobody can do, specifically choice in reproductive health for women. And what I have done for you, I'm not going to read this to you, you can read it on your own, but what I have done for you is I have created a Google document with my comments about each part of this essay. So what you can do is you can click on each one. So each sentence has its own comment. When you click on it, it'll go to the comment that goes with that particular sentence, and it will turn a darker shade of yellow so you'll know exactly what you're looking at. So I have done every sentence in the intro so you can see how that could be structured. Then in the first body paragraph, I have some definitions. In the second paragraph, I talk about background info, including a law that is relative to this, that's necessary for everyone to know before they move into my actual argument. I've also noted throughout here some ways that I have either included in-text citations in parentheses or not, and why, so that you can understand where that needs to be done for MLA style. We haven't had a paper yet that had this many sources, so I just want to make sure that you understand how you might do that. Then this is an unpopular opinion, which has to do with my thesis statement. And again, another in-text citation issue. This is commentary, and I haven't marked that throughout the essay because it will repeat, but I just want you to understand you've got to explain. You should never start any paragraph with text evidence that's quoted or paraphrased. It should start with your words and a claim that relates to your thesis statement and opens up the paragraph, and then it should end with your commentary that explains how the evidence relates to the thesis statement, whether it refutes it, confirms it, somewhere in between. You've got to explain in your own words. This essay should be mostly your own words, should not be big chunks of quoting, which we've talked about. Always think about the sources as support or refutation or examples for your paper. They're helping you. That's why they're called sources. They're not the bulk of the piece. This is not a report or an annotated bibliography. Then I have the popular viewpoint. Another source, this is a really interesting situation because it has multiple authors. So I've put that in here, and it mirrors the end text, not in-text citation in the works cited page. And then a third viewpoint, which is kind of gray, it's in between. I mentioned the popular argument again with another source to talk about that. And then I bring it back to why all of these that are not mine fail to make the cut. They really do not take into account everyone's situations. And then finally, the conclusion. So this almost reaches the end of the 5th page, which is what I told you needed for a minimum. And then the works cited page, notice that it is alphabetized by last name. And I actually have, or title, whichever. I actually have 2 sources that have the same title. So what I have to do then is go to the very next word, and this one goes first because it starts with N instead of W. Also, note the formatting of this. We still have people in the class not formatting it properly, so make sure that you have your page numbers here, correct font size, correct format, and then over here you have the right heading, and then here in the center you have a title. So that should help you have a point of reference to continue revising. It should take you through our next day of class. I do want you to use this. I want you to read it, because if I see that you have not done the things I've asked when I've provided you this, and then you ask me a question that is clearly answered by this, I'm just going to tell you to look at this. So make sure you do it. Okay, we'll save everybody time. After this, I'll give feedback on this and you can revise it, of course, but we're going to move into something else that will be much easier. This was definitely the hardest part of the semester. We only have a couple weeks left, and I think the end of the semester is going to be very easy for everyone. So just hang in there. Don't worry. If you need something specific after you've looked at this, great. But my advice to you is to do the best you can using this, turn it in, and then we can talk. That's all I got for you. Have a good rest of your week.